Whoa, so Well of Wellness 5, that is Love It or Not by Mella featuring Infinite Coals. And it should be Infinite Coals because this is definitely the coldest I've been in. So Derek, the world thermometer says it is 8 degrees today. Air temperature is about 5 degrees. So it is definitely cold enough today. I'm feeling it. So what do we want to talk about today? I reckon let's talk about getting started on a self-care journey. Let's talk about the first steps. Let's talk about sustainable habits. And I think from last week, we concluded that self-care is not selfish. Self-care is an essential component of performance, of high performance. So how do we get going? If we're not doing it already, how do we get going? And I think the first step is often the hardest. It can feel overwhelming, starting something new. How do I meditate? How do I get more sleep when I'm so busy? How do I find time for breaks in the day? Where can I fit exercise in? Where do I get the motivation from? And I had a great chat last week with Dr. Heather McKee, who is a behavioural change specialist and does a lot of work around positive behaviours and positive behaviour change in respect of wellness and well-being. And there's a couple of things that she said to me that resonated that I'm going to share with you. But I think, first of all, just knowing that taking the smallest step to start with can be a really good thing to do, because that small step is the hardest step, but it is the most achievable. And not really the most achievable, actually. I'm going to change that. It is the most impactful because it gets you on the journey. It gets the momentum going. It's hard to achieve, actually. But taking that step can be really small. It can be a really small one. And I love the illustration, which I'll put in the comments on this, from Liz Foslian, who, if you aggregate lots of tiny steps, climbing that mountain in small steps, all of a sudden you've got a really big gain. The aggregation of small steps or marginal gains. So number one, just take a small step to start with. And I think linked to this with what Dr. Heather was talking about is really just choose something that you can definitely achieve, that you know you'll be able to achieve. So she started a journaling practice a little while ago, and she just committed to writing one sentence a day, nothing more, nothing less, one sentence a day. And then if the mood took her, she'd write more. And actually, that act of just giving herself permission to do a little bit actually meant that she could write a lot. And some days it would be a sentence or even a couple of words, but more often than not, it would be paragraphs. So give yourself permission to start small. And sometimes for me, when the beautiful days when I could ride my bike, sometimes all I could convince myself to do would be put my kit on. And that act of just putting my kit on, then I could say, right, I'm going to go and ride for 4 minutes or 5 minutes. And then you'd end up riding for an hour. But give yourself permission for something small. The next thing is really connect with your why, your reason for wanting to practice self-care, the reason for wanting to go on a journey of wellness. And understanding that why and tuning into that can be, super helpful. And again, Heather talked about kind of delving into that why. Why do you want to exercise? Well, I want to be healthier. Why? Well, I want to be able to enjoy the things in later life. Why? And so as we start to get into that depths of our why, then we can often find a reason that's highly motivated. For me, being fit and well ultimately will enable me to give my kids a better experience as me as a father, which haven't been very good at over the last few days, actually, but that's an aside. So, thinking about being fit so we can play with our children as we get older and engage in the sporting activities that they do can be super powerful. Okay, so my top tips on getting started: think about starting small. Give yourself permission to start small. Really connect with your why, and just know that once you've made that first step, the others will follow much easier. This is pretty cold. My body is tingling. So I'm going to go back to the music. Enjoy your day. Hope you have a good one. The sun is shining. Thank you so much. And stay well.